Yeah, okay. So I guess we can start. If anybody has anything they want to talk about, feel free. We can just shoot the shit, whatever. Otherwise, I'll beg for more money for WTF, but that can happen at the end.
I can report out on Aaliyah and Depeche Mode. Ryan and I were just talking on another call minutes ago, um, Casa Secure Design call about the EOA to smart contract migration, multi-thread, multi-year debate. Like Ryan tried to, yeah. Okay. You, if you'd rather report out, I mean, Ryan.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Am I coming through okay?
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, we as Juan mentioned, we're meeting monthly in the secure design working group. Just a bunch of UX minded folks, some designers, some engineers, and today was our 10th meeting, like spring last year. Um, we resolved at the end of 2023 to start getting into a cadence of picking EIPs, or any other standards really, to focus on in the interests of helping everybody get a clearer picture of what the positive impacts could be of the implementation of these things, slash what the remaining risks or rough edges might be, that could benefit from being explicitly like tackled in the specifications process, as they might, show up in the user experience. And wanted, turned our attention towards 7377 back in August. And so we sort of figured we'd pick that one up over the holidays and do some homework on it. I think, realized just yesterday that like probably um, uh, that had stalled due to what appears to be concerns about L2 address aliasing. And noticed this morning that 3074 was kind of on the list of ideas to consider um, for the Prague release. And just kind of came to consensus this morning that yeah, maybe like it's very much 7377 shaped. Probably has a lot of the same UX benefits and concerns, and maybe we're going to turn our attention towards that. So wanted to raise that in this group. Maybe get folks feedback on if you guys think that would be a beneficial proposal to have some UX specs and audit round, and just generally announce that practice is something that we're looking to do in that group over the following months.
Cool. So one thing to note about 3074 is that we have request to re-add which looks like it was merged. So this would mean that like nonce or number used only once. Yeah, sorry, my internet's been kind of crappy today. Yeah, so this would mean that signatures can only be used a certain number of times before they get invalidated. Um, and that hopefully would make it more appealing to core devs, which is I think why it's back on the menu. Yeah, and then obviously if you want to actually migrate using 3074, we also have EIP. I think it's 5003,
Off you, sir.
which is the actual migration thing, and then yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, sweet. Uh, and I haven't done my homework yet, so I don't want to waste everyone's time with questions that could relate to like just read the fucking manual. Um, but yeah, it was. I saw at least a few people advocating for if we're going to pull 3074 in, would it make sense to duly consider 5003? And then the one other thing that I saw a lot of interest in that for sure came up quite a bit at the Wallet Uncon that Juan and I helped organize in Turkey is 7212, the SECB 256K R1, sorry, curve support. So that trifecta feels like a really good trifecta of things. So I probably will also start a thread on how those three things lean on each other in maybe ETH Magicians, and solicit feedback. And then the one other thing I wanted to mention was I may, for anyone who's going to ETH Denver, organize some short conversations, like impromptu, to be taken place in some corner of Sport Castle that may be called the Wallet Uncon Unsalon. Um, uh, and so I'll probably share that in this Discord, to see who might be interested. The idea there would be we'll kind of shortlist a couple of things to talk about for a couple hours and maybe have it occur 2 or 3 days for 2 hours at a time, depending on how many folks might be interested. This would just be to talk about wallet standards and best practices. But I will share that event when I'm probably gonna make like an unlock expression of interest thing this week.
Cool, that's exciting. Who is going to ETH Denver?
I'll be there.
Nice. I might go just for whichever 2 days the EIP thing Annette's doing and what Ryan's doing fall on. So I'm hoping they're on consecutive days, so I don't have to choose between my children.
So you mentioned UX and audit type stuff.
Yes.
So what does that look like? So we did get an audit of 3074 by I think it was DDob, on an earlier iteration. So what would this kind of an audit look like?
And that was more sort of an engineering centered security audit, like
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah. So this would be the exact shape of it. We're still, I mean, this would be a first run for us to figure out how that process works. But the idea is to take the lens more of language, considerations about multimodal accessibility, um, internationalization and localization. And sorry, at the beginning, instead of language, I might have better said terminology, user-facing terminology, and then likely a lot of drafting up of prospective experiences this could enable, so that it's maybe easier for folks, both on the dApp side, the protocol layer, and working for wallets, to discuss in clear terms and reason about UX impacts. So those are some examples. Yeah, nothing set in stone yet, but the idea would be to just make it feel a little bit more real and see what we could catch well in advance of things uh, hitting implementation and UX just sort of like circumstantially being not under considered at the beginning, but like maybe like underexplored, because the devil is always in the details, right?
No, that's a great idea. I think that's something that a lot of like proposals and implementations are missing, is how it actually impacts the user side. On kind of a related note, a while back, someone had posted Matt Sec had posted the wallet security verification standard guidelines, and that's kind of like a list of uh, user interface guidelines for wallets and such. So it's kind of in the same vein, different subject matter, but still for user interfaces and stuff. I put a link in the chat here. Yeah, this is stuff like, whenever you display a truncated address, make sure there's a way to view the full address, stuff like that.
Amazing. That's cool. I think Justin had his hand up too for a while. I don't know if he.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I was just a little late just showing that I was trying to show that I was gonna be at ETH Denver.
Oh, right on.
Didn't have
Gotcha.
anything to add. I'm just skimming through the wallet security verification standards. I think this is a pretty cool idea. Yeah, I've got like 20 something wallets installed right now, and I can guarantee you, not just Ethereum ecosystem ones, but no one's the vast majority of people are not doing much of this at all. So this is cool to see.
The relative quality of wallets is astounding sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, without they're no one from this particular group, but I mean, some of the stuff like I have IOHK's Cardano wallet installed. It's like a hobbyist beta. It's so fucking bad. Oh, this is a recorded call. But everyone is working hard to improve upon that. So
It's okay. We don't know what company you're from. It's not in your username or anything. So
yeah. Yeah, just saying there's a lot of room for improvement that demonstrates the merit of discussions like these and initiatives like the wallet security verification standards. I like it.
Yeah, I think we're coming up on that time where uh, with the testing framework, CI will become table stakes soon, I hope. Like people will hopefully be running regression tests against the uh, conformance suite. And
hey, I
also
mean, it's
like
there.
it's there. People should already be using it, but it takes a lot of trickle down. I think there's like maybe a feedback loop broken between products launching and like shame mechanisms, like that CoinSpect audit comparison or Bugaz comparison don't quite, what's the word? The people who scored poorly on the or like the products that scored poorly on those kinds of audits need to get, what's the word? I don't know. Pressure?
Shamed. Yeah.
Shame?
Yeah.
Shame. We can call
Yeah.
it shame.
We need the nun from the one I'm talking about, A Song of Ice and Fire.
The Game of Thrones.
Game of
ringing the
Thrones.
bell.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, we need the shame nun. Yeah.
Shame none. Speaking
But
of which, do you have any updates about the test suite? I thought I saw something.
yes. So we're building integration for Coinbase and Tahoe right now. Just because they're the easiest we found to work with, not because we have any like special deals with them or whatever. And that's been going really well. So we can basically automate all of Coinbase, so it runs without a human interaction. And then Tahoe, we have a few PRs to try and merge upstream, and then you'll be able to run Tahoe wallet without human interaction as well. So that's coming along nicely. And yeah, like the glue is actually pretty easy to write. It's like, I think there's 6 functions you have to implement right now, like approve a transaction, reject a transaction, like connect a wallet, those kind of things. And then you can use Selenium or whatever you want to click on the buttons in your extension, and then it's done. Yeah, and then you get all the tests. And I was talking with somebody from CowSwap the other day about wallet test framework, obviously trying to get more funding for another year. So kind of an interesting idea came up, which is that we can use wallet test frameworks like adapters, so that a dApp can write tests for their own dApp, and then run it against any wallet that implements the glue specification. So, like, let's say you wanted to make sure Uniswap worked with the top 10 wallets, or CowSwap or whatever other DApp. You can just write your tests, and then they'll automatically be able to work with any wallet, which I think is kind of a cool feature we hadn't considered before.
Yeah. And Wallet Connect has something like that just for the Connect flow, I think. Like they had to, yeah, they expended a lot of energy making that, and some people already used that. But
That
I
being
think
like it it can approve the connection from the wallet side.
like they have a test wallet and a test app, and they can run some little barrage of tests. I think they're still working towards the Selenium part. I don't think that's um, shipped yet. The being
Oh,
able to
really?
like,
Sounds like I need to talk to them.
yeah, there's like they've been putting a lot more effort in testing lately, and there might be some recyclable stuff there, or even just like, yeah, complementary stuff. They might want to. Let me figure out who there to put you in touch with. I hadn't even thought about it till you mentioned Selenium
I
for some
appreciate it.
reason. I'm like, where have I heard the word Selenium? Uh,
Yeah, because I find Pedro is really hard to get a hold of. But
oh,
yeah.
it's it's not a one man company anymore, man. It's a
No,
behemoth
no, but
now.
he's the only person I know Wallet
Oh
Connect.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. I can talk find you someone there.
perfect. Yeah, thank you. What else is new? Yeah, we're coming up on our 1 year in April. So, like I've mentioned several times, we're trying to get some support from the wallet community. I've talked to Dan Finley at MetaMask, Adam at Coinbase, and Kyle of Brave, and there's some early results on getting a little bit of funding there. But if anybody else wants to throw money our way, let me know. Yeah, we have a roadmap post that we put up. Some of the things that we want to work on for 2024 are, if my internet works. Yeah, we want to add support for Wallet Connect. That's a big one. 6963. And we want to add tests. We want to add better documentation so it's easier for wallets to build their own glue instead of having to rely on us. So I can put that in the chat as well. Here we go. Yeah, if you think we should take a look at trying out MetaMask, like automating it, let me know. Because we have enough time to do at least one more wallet glue before the end of the year, so that could be fun. And then in non-WTF related stuff, I'm looking for volunteers to work on a wallet working group. This is all still very up in the air, but if you're interested, shoot me a note. And I'm going to keep saying that on every call until we have working groups. So yeah, I think that's it. That's all I've been working on that's wallet related. So yeah.
What are you specifically looking for with the working groups? Like, what is the
Oh, sure.
specific? Yeah.
So the shortest time commitment would be like help me set it up, figure out what kind of workflows work for wallets, and then you can just disappear and never look at it again. The kind of longer term commitment that I'd like would be people who'd be interested in reviewing wallet EIPs. So that'd be things like adding new RPC methods, just basically anything related to wallet standards. And these working group members would kind of take on the role of EIP editors, but only specifically for wallet-related proposals. It'd be a time commitment of, like, I think I spend maybe 3 or 4 hours a month on it. It's not a huge, like, deal.
yeah, I sometimes think the work it takes to be a good reviewer of those EIPs is kind of the work everyone's already doing if they work at a wallet company, and like just keep an eye on the interfaces of their competitors. Like if you're just tracking when the like dApp connection libraries and change, and like, I don't know, Coinbase's weird proprietary stuff they push sometimes, you're kind of already the working group, the member the working group needs 5 of. So it might just be like like there's an upfront investment of setting up a process, but after that it's kind of just a gossip network for people watching a market. So
Yeah, it
I
feels
try
like essential homework for all of us here, anyways, to keep on top of everything.
Like this is kind of already is a wallet working group, right? Like what's the the call for volunteers to help formalize it as an EIP subgroup kind of thing?
Yeah, so I guess the specific request would be people who would want elevated privileges on the GitHub who can merge pull requests.
That is the carrot to dangle. Are you sick of not having privileges on the GitHub?
Are you tired of Matt telling you to move your wallet EIPs to a different repository? Well, boy, do I have the job for you.
Yeah, I think maybe what's made me hesitate to volunteer for that is that I'm kind of clumsy with GitHub and distracted and have a million other repos I work on, and like wanted I would let's put it this way. If anyone else wants to do it and like set up a good thorough onboarding call, I'll attend it as well and take notes and do it, but I feel like I'm a +1. I'm not the main guest of honor.
Yeah, I'd love to do it. I'm probably the least technical person on this call since I'm not a software developer. But a big part of why I lurk in this group is that, we're kind of odd man out with a hardware product where we're, a blockchain agnostic cryptographic signing device. So it's about making sure that we support what everybody else here is building and plug into it well and keep up to speed. So for me, it would be useful. But if you want someone who's specifically an engineer, rather than me referring back to my team for feedback on stuff, that would make sense too. But yeah, I'd love to be involved if you're looking for people, and that would make sense.
Yeah, no,
or we
that'd
can
be perfect.
discuss
So
after.
it is explicitly a non-technical. You just have to read and understand English and be like, this is unclear. This is not worded well, or this doesn't follow the template. Those are the kind of feedback that we're looking for, like mostly. And then anything on top of that is extra.
My only EIP didn't get merged, so I might not be the right person. But yeah. Yeah. So,
which one was that?
I did. Nick Johnson called me a terrorist for the EIP process because I did an informational proposal, which no one ever does, and it was against ProgPal, signing industry support, getting everyone to sign. So that one got abandoned in a repo somewhere. But yeah, everyone was just adding their names onto that to show that they did not want to initialize ProgPal on mainnet.
I mean, that's one way to show support. I am so I came into the Ethereum space just after the ProgPal like died down a bit, and I am so glad I missed all of that.
Poor Hudson on every AllWalletDevs call was just like, it was so ridiculously contentious. It was almost, it's kind of funny in retrospect. And then a meme got into the mix and spiced it up too. So.
Wait, is he the one who asked him, "Am I a core dev?" or something along those lines?
Yeah, that's the famous thing. Someone did like a Seinfeld clip of the AllWalletDevs call with like the Seinfeld slap bass in the background with a meme going, "Can I be a core dev?" And then Greg Colvin saying, "You're not a core dev." And then Hudson saying, "Let's take this offline." So yeah, he was he was very good at being able to stay calm and keep balance when everyone was getting kind of heated over the issue. So glad that one's in the past as well. Tim and Matt have been doing an awesome job since as well. So it's not always a fun job to have moderating those meetings and trying to ascertain what rough consensus is. So.
Oh, we get a slice of that on the EIP IP meetings. It's wonderful. Yeah. Sometimes I wish we could just, have a hard vote on things, like just vote and, majority wins, but can't do that. So
Yeah, and then who votes? Remember, and then people, when we had, I think what was I can't think of the parity wallet recovery EIP that was super high. I think it was 999. Then like they tried doing a coin vote and they voted with the locked coins, and so no one even really agrees on what the framework is. So this is how we regress to rough consensus. But kind of a good thing to have that degree of friction for getting changes merged.
yeah, it makes it harder to capture, right? That's one of my biggest fears with the Ethereum governance is it just turns into like a corporate like wasteland of people arguing about things, and then like Google or Coinbase or something comes in. Not saying that either of those companies is bad, just examples. And,
Recorded call.
and they just like dominate the Ethereum development landscape.
Yeah.
Well, if you're listening to this, Google, and you want to dominate the Ethereum landscape, fund the WTF. Joking.
Seriously though, fund WTF. It'd be great. I'd definitely be pestering Grid a little bit more if there was some way to automate clicking on buttons on the Grid UI.
Well, hopefully we never do that, but yeah, I'm again, as I mentioned, I've been trying wallets from tons of different ecosystems, and man, auto signing being assigned to dApps terrifies me. I'm glad we're not doing that.
What is auto signing?
Oh, in the Solana ecosystem, you can grant permissions to automatically sign with a dApp without going back to the wallet to approve.
What?
So like
That's
you can just
insane.
yeah, you can just be like, this DEX is trusted, so all I have to do is click in the website in the dApp interface, and it will automatically sign.
There's a lot of what could go wrong.
Yeah, I mean, permissions. We already know how terrifying and frustrating all of that is, and then being able to assign a permission with that kind of power. Yeah, people go for what's convenient from a UI perspective, but I mean, obviously, we're a security team. We're as conservative as it gets when it comes to things like that, and want to create that friction so people can stop and keep themselves safe. But yeah, it's a good question. How does that vary from session keys? Yeah,
I'm going to not mention 3074 here. Definitely not.
Well, that's just bundling a few distinct transactions, though, in what we're expecting to see with permissions, right? Not
Well, so
that kind of
3074
broader access.
technically gives irrevocable access to the entire account forever. So, yeah. But what are session keys? What's that?
I think
Yeah, session
it went
keys.
first.
Oh yeah, sorry. Go ahead, Vasa.
I think isn't like session keys like more like defined in terms of okay, like what you wanna do in terms of like the time-based stuff, and like maybe you can define like more permissions in terms of okay, this is like the only amount you're allowed to spend or something. So like just like being able to like define like more rules and stuff rather than just like yeah going on like a full tab kind of a thing.
Yeah, I mean, like that's my that would be my question about auto signing, right? Like if it accommodates finally attenuating and scoping things only to a certain delegate, like hey, this delegate can only do things on it can only interact with addresses X, Y, and Z, and it can only call signatures A, B, and C or whatever, right? Then it wouldn't feel like it's all that different from session keys. which examples of session keys would be found on Mirror. Trying to think of other examples off the top of my head. And largely it's for kind of off-chain signatures, but I think you can maybe still use session keys to kind of proxy transactions being submitted on chain. This is where I have to caveat I'm a designer, so I don't understand half of the words I just said.
I thought it was convincing. Yeah, it's good. I mean, something like that, I feel like you want to have a strictly defined permissions framework, that constrains what can be signed. Otherwise, I mean, imagine the chaos that can be wreaked by, doing that with a malicious front end or something, and you're signing over that degree of control. But again, I'm in the same boat. I don't know as much about that ecosystem and how that's working under the hood. I've really just been the best way I learn is just by trying everything. So I've just got my pinned extension list is like crowding out my my actual spot for entering a URL, because I've just got all these different wallets and I'm trying how things work outside of my familiar EVM cozy nook. But yeah, it scares me, and I feel like that's a bit overly permissive. But then again, yeah, there's a lot of people who are optimizing for just speed and convenience without actually considering the implications.
Precisely, the secure design working group's interest in taking a look at that significant 3074 handoff moment from EOA key pair to contract. What could go wrong? It's a hugely powerful and hugely beneficial thing, but if we don't make sure that we've guarded against some worst case scenarios, which a lot of it, which feels like it should for sure happen at the implementation level, and is kind of hard to define at the spec, but it needs to be, yeah, I feel like it needs to be explored.
Yeah, I think one of the challenges with wallet API design is like we have to reconcile what dApp developers prefer with like what's best for end users and the security privacy considerations, right? So it's like, I think that's a key part. That'll be an important part for this working group, is to sort of like make sure people are thinking about all those factors as they design these experiences.
Random question. Do people know about this thing? If we're short on agenda, I can just randomly ideate out loud.
Be my guest.
Someone just sent me a link to this, and I'm wondering if we should be inviting the someone from there to come talk to this group or something.
Yeah, James is in our
in the Discord, yes.
Yeah, so we could ask him to maybe talk about it next time.
That seems like low-hanging agenda fruit.
Done.
Okay. I have just sort of an open question. One thing I've been keeping an eye on, and I'm not up to speed on personally, I know our engineers are a little further along, is for account abstraction wallets. Like I played around with the Sol Wallet beta or alpha, but I'm wondering like what I should be reading for any implications for signing on that front, for anything that we need to be doing differently to support a whole new crop of AA wallets coming out. I don't know if there's resources that I should be looking at that I'm not aware of beyond just, ETH mags and EIPs. That's something I'm curious about.
I think there's a whole bunch of unexplored design area there because, like, smart contract wallets don't have to follow, EC DSA. They can do whatever they want. So maybe the answer is to make, a plugin for smart contract wallets for Grid Plus, and then you can do whatever you want there. I don't know.
Yeah, that's generally where I've landed with stuff. Is that it seems like there's so much that it enables, and we haven't kind of landed on precisely how we're going to leverage that with user experiences.
It sounds like you could do some very effective informational terrorism, just opening a use case as EIP. Just describe some flows that would work for a grid, and just be like, who built this? Call me. If you're building this, call me. Let's talk.
I should do more of that. Although it is worth noting that I am since on better terms with Nick Johnson, so I will not be I will not be filing any more informational EIPs and abusing the sanctity of the EIP process. So
well, at least a magician's thread. Come on.
Yeah. All right.
Well, because decoding transactions to display is even going to become way more complicated, right?
Oh, hell
Right.
yeah. We need that standard yesterday. We needed that to pass before 4337.
I mean, readability standards, I actually think is something that's like unexplored, even for how EOAs are signing today. We had a big leap forward with like 712, but I feel like the average user, when you show them a full transaction payload, even when the ABI is decoded, it's still like their eyes glaze over at 90% of it. They're maybe looking at what's transferred. So I think there's a lot of room to improve there. I think we're doing that kind of on an abstracted level with like wallet interfaces explaining more. But you can't really do that with a hardware wallet. So like, because you have to let people see precisely what they're signing. So we don't have the luxury of like kind of translating more about what is actually being signed beyond a very basic level. So another area to explore, another reason to be in the working group, I guess.
That actually reminds me about something Vitalik was talking about recently. So could, and this might be more of an engineering question, but could the lattice function like a light client and prove information about the chain, or is that outside its capabilities?
It's definitely capable of doing that. Part of why we have this physical footprint is we set out to be like a turnkey ETH2 signer, and obviously we called it a Casper signer at the time. But yeah, I mean, it is pretty flexible. We actually ran we cross-compiled and ran like 64 Prism instances with pointing to an external execution layer node. But it's like well beyond that. But a light client, I think, would be theoretically doable. And that's also partially why we called it the lattice. Our focus has shifted since, but we wanted to be sort of that infrastructure piece, like where there was something you could deploy to a hardware network that was all uniform. So yeah, light clients entirely doable. Right now, internally though, we're just kind of focusing on, I don't know, it's not something we've actively explored, but always something we're open to talking about with people if there's other cool ideas.
That's really cool. I didn't know it was that powerful. That's sweet.
Yeah, it's sort of like overspec for what it is. I mean, we have like all kinds of additional like IoT connectivity. We kind of went crazy with like thinking about potential use cases for like a more robust Ethereum wallet. But in actuality, like we're a small team still, so we had to pare back the ambitions to like just a core focus on security, and now supporting more assets too, and being nimble enough to support new signing standards and keep up to speed on Ethereum too. yeah, it's all possible. Like we had wanted to do things like it's interesting to hear about the auto signing feedback and session keys. Before we launched, we had a permissions framework for like you could we had with a software wallet on your phone, you could like remotely generate hardware signatures within specific constraints. Like I can spend 0.1 ETH per every 24 hours remotely, generate a hardware signature, and I could revoke that permission whenever we wanted, just from the user interface. The problem with that is that we were doing things like that as Ethereum was in an earlier stage of its life. And then as the complexity of different types of signing requests and the things that people were doing expanded tremendously, we realized that it was just like impossible to do a secure framework like that. So we deprecated it. But still thinking along those lines about ways we can kind of reimagine some processes we take for granted. Sorry, a little off track from the core focus of this, but it's an interesting area.
Not to worry, we're just hanging out.
Yeah.
Whatever we want to talk about. Actually, on that note, I probably have to take off a little early today, so I will hop off, but feel free to continue hanging out. I will see you all in a month.
All right. See you guys on Discord. Adios.